And we are recording. Guess what, folks? It's a Sunday. Yes, it fucking is. Time for a bit of what's up. No first looks in this one, folks. A couple of packages did arrive very, very late on Friday afternoon. Didn't have a chance to record any table cam stuff, so they'll be basically pushed forward. They'll be pushed forward into the first looks for next weekend, and there really isn't much to cover. Next week, the week after that, and possibly for a third week, there's going to be something happening on the channel that hasn't happened for a long time. 5 reviews a week. Yeah, I've got some juice, like Amatorium's one of them, but I've got liquids. I've got a whole load of stuff that came in on the 2 weeks running up to Expo, including some of the stuff I picked up at Expo that I basically need to plough through as quick as I possibly can, because, you know, there's going to be more items because there's some more AIOs and pods being released in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and I don't want a big backlog to start piling up. So yeah, 5 reviews a week at least for the next 3 weeks, and that hasn't happened on the channel for a very, very long time. Some of them will be liquid reviews, and about 2 of them are going to be disposable reviews, and it's the disposables that caught my eye at the UK Vapor Expo, basically for doing something different. In fact, it might be 3. No, I think it's 2. Anyway, before we move on to the main subject, which actually happens to be about disposables, I will be on SAVs tonight. Hopefully this actually goes up before SAVs goes out. But yeah, Super Awesome Vape Show's back. So I'm going to be on SAVs tonight. I think the show starts at 8 o'clock over on the Super Awesome Vape Show channel. So check that out. And yeah, it's good to see SAVs back up and running again. So on to the main topic that I'm going to rant about for about 5 minutes. There's that. There is that, which is not showing up for some reason. Okay. There is... Nope, it's shown that already. And there's that. Why is that other one not showing up? That's weird. There we go. Right. About a year ago, I distinctly remember sitting on this very same chair. It might have been a year and a half ago actually, but I distinctly remember sitting in this very same chair. And that headline there is actually it's not a re-upload, but it's a repeat of a headline that was out round about this time last year, kind of midway through 2021. And I distinctly remember sitting here on this chair saying, this is not going to go down a good road. And here we are. These 2 headlines came out within the space of about a week. That headline came out at the beginning of this month, or basically a retread of a similar headline that came out in 2021. The problem that's now happening, especially with the disposables and the media, especially the media, is the snowball effect has started to happen, which basically means you get the gutter press, the Mirror, for instance, classic example of gutter press. You get the gutter press picking up a story and then running with it, and that snowball starts to roll down the mountain, and before you know it, it turns into a fucking huge ass avalanche, and there's nothing that can stop it. Elf Bar is on the tip of everyone's tongue. Elf Bar do not care about this industry. They never have cared about this industry. All they really care about is making as much money in as short a time as possible, and then moving on to some other industry once everything collapses around them. And it's not just Elf Bar that's guilty of this. Geek Bar and a few of the other big names in the disposable market is guilty of this. Classic example for you. About 3 months ago, there was the Consumer Expo. None of us in the vaping industry have heard of it. Well, most of us haven't heard of it. And this is an expo that's roughly 3 to 4 times the size of what the UK Vapor Expo was at its peak. So you're talking corner shop chains, the premier shop chain in the UK. You're talking Tesco, you're talking Asda, you're talking Sainsbury, you're talking the Cooperative, you're talking each and every major convenience store that we know, most of the major supermarkets, even BP, not so much BP, but petrol station franchises, their heads showed up. And basically what happens is they set up stalls and they chat. It's essentially a 2-day long trade show. Nothing actually gets sold. It's basically a 2-day long trade show. So you're talking a floor plan 3 to 4 times the size of what the UK Vapor Expo was at its height. Who else do you think was there? Now remember, this has got nothing to do with vaping. Nothing. This is convenience store trade. This is a convenience store, supermarket and other chain store, convenience store shops who set up at an expo to talk business. The public can go in if they want, but there's nothing to buy. Who else do you think was there? Out of literally hundreds of convenience store trade booths, Elf Bar. Yeah, they were there. They were there. And they knew exactly what they were doing. They were pushing the Elf Bar as the latest in thing, which it is, let's be honest here. They're pushing the Elf Bar as the latest in thing. Not at a vaping trade show, at a consumer trade show, where Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury, Premier Shops, the Cooperative and a whole bunch of other shop chains were there. They don't care about the industry. They want as many corner shops, as many petrol stations to sell the Elf Bar as they possibly can, so they can rake in millions. There is a good analogy going on here with the disposable market, especially when it comes to Elf Bar. They are like a plague of locusts that descend on a field, strip the field dry, move on, and leave nothing but utter destruction behind them. That's the disposable market. And if you want proof, all you need to do is look at the United States. If you want more proof, all you need to do is look at what kind of happened in Canada and any other Western Hemisphere world where the disposables got a grip on the industry and the industry in that country did nothing to stop them. They are a plague of locusts, only here to make as much money as they possibly can, and they move on and leave a trail of destruction in their wake. The question that the UK industry has to ask is, how long can this go on? How long can this, and this be allowed to snowball down that mountain before the court of public opinion becomes an avalanche of negativity that UK VIA, IBVTA and the NNA cannot hold back? Disposables are wrecking this industry. We all know it. Most of us are scared to say it, but I don't fucking care. Disposables are wrecking this industry. And at the tip of the spear is the Elf Bar. They do not care about you or me. They don't care about the future of this industry. They don't care about the negative press. The only thing Elf Bar cares about is making as much money in as short a time as possible before the market collapses, and then they can fuck off out of the UK market and move somewhere else. I'm calling it for what it is. I'm calling it exactly for what it is. And this is a message to UK, I was going to say UK VIA. It's not VIA Vic. Sorry, John. It's not VIA, it's VIA. This is a message to UK VIA. And it's also a message to the New Nicotine Alliance. Fat lot of good you lot are these days. But it's also a message to the New Nicotine Alliance and the IBVTA. You are at the bottom of a mountain, you three. You're at the bottom of a mountain. And you're currently looking up that mountain and you're seeing a snowball rolling down that hill. Right now it's about a quarter of the way down, but you're slowly seeing that snowball get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so far all three of you, at least in the public's eye, have done nothing but stare at this thing as it rampages down the mountain. We all know what happens to a vaping industry when disposables get a throttle hold of it, because all we need to do is look at the United States. We're seeing the same play happen here in the UK, and we're seeing the same thing happen in the European Union. I mean, for fuck's sake, Elf Bar are now going to convenience store expos and consumer trade shows. Nothing to do with vaping, but they're only there to make more money at the expense of what happens to the industry underneath it. We've got this going on here, and we all know that this is going to get 10 times worse as the weeks roll on. All two of you trade organisations, including the NNA, need to get your thumbs out your rear ends, have a word with the Science and Tech Commission, have a word with the all-party parliamentary group to do with vaping, and have a word with any pro-vaping MP you can get your hands on for a sit-down chat, probably after the summer recess of Parliament, to do one of two things. Number one, drop a nuke on the disposable market in the UK and wipe out the entire segment. Or number two, instead of dropping a nuke on it, limit the sales. Limit the sales. Disposables can only be sold in chemist shops, like Lloyd's the pharmacy for instance, or vape shops. Doing that alone would wipe out the "think of the children" crowd, because then trading standards has got less ground to cover to police the disposables in the United Kingdom. Because if nothing is done, that is going to get 10 times worse, and the court of public opinion will be swaying towards anti-vaping, and there is nothing UKVIA, IBVTA or NNA will be able to do about it. And it's not just that. This crap here is putting in jeopardy what the National Health Service is trying to do with a medically licensed vape device to help smokers get off smoking. Because if you're a smoker, smoking away, and you're reading this, would you want to be given a vape device and prescription from the NHS? Would you fuck? You'll just keep smoking. The mountains are the snowball's a quarter of the way down the mountain. You have about 2 or 3 months to stop that snowball from getting any bigger before it smashes into this industry at the base of the mountain and flattens everything in its path. Yeah. All I'm going to say is, called it. I called it. 1.5 years to a year ago. I figured something like this would happen, and here we are, midway through 2022. The anti-ECig establishment, along with the anti-ECig press, right now the gutter press, but it's only going to be a matter of time before the big papers get their hands on it, the Guardian, the Independent, that kind of thing, who are already anti-vaping anyway, and the court of public opinion will start to sway against electronic cigarettes. And it's all down to disposables. Not all disposables, but the big names in the disposable market. Elf Bar, Geek Bar, and all those other big bars that keep showing up. And it's not just them. A lot of the disreputable or irreputable sellers of these things on high streets, corner shops, market stalls, who are dishing these things out to kids, who are selling the 50mg illegal pods, they need to be stopped as well, which is why it needs government legislation to step in and either nuke the whole fucking sector or basically limit the sales down to vape shops and chemists only. You've got about 3 months to do it. By my reckoning, you've got about 3 months to do it. Because as summer starts to decline into the colder days of autumn, and more people are crammed in their house, and more people are looking at the news, and more people are looking at online newspapers, and this is circulating around, you've got about 3 months. At least by my reckoning anyway. What I would want to see is some kind of legislation put in place that would take effect at the end of autumn, meteorological autumn, which is basically the end of November. Some kind of legislation that would take place at the end of meteorological autumn, which would basically wipe a big chunk of the disposable market out of the UK industry. Either nuke it altogether, which is it's going a bit too far, to be honest. Personally, I would like to see the entire disposable market wiped out, but that's probably not going to be a thing. But the second option is limiting the sales to vape shops and chemists. At least that way, Trading Standards has much smaller targets to go after, instead of having to cast a wider net going after every single convenience store in their town, every single petrol station, every single corner shop, every single supermarket, every single vape shop. If the sales were limited down to chemists and vape shops, the stings that the Trading Standards boys are doing would be a lot more quicker than they are right now. Simple as that, folks. And before anyone says, "But Vic, you're limiting the amount of disposables that smokers can use to give up smoke," bullshit. Disposables have been out in the UK market for about a year and a half. Everyone keeps saying, but smokers are using disposables to give up smoking. Why does the numbers of vapors and people quitting smoking in the UK not tie up to the amount of disposables actually being sold? The number of vapors in the UK is held constant at between 3.2 to 3.5 million. It bounces between those two numbers constantly, month after month. Disposables have been on the market for a year and a half. The amount of vapors has not increased. It's remained constant. It's remained constant. Why has it remained constant? If millions and millions and millions of these disposables are being sold every single month. I'll tell you why. Because it's not smokers that are picking them up to give up smoking. It's current vapors picking them up for ease of use. This is why sales of liquid has dropped in VPZ. This is why sales of hardware has dropped, not just in VPZ, but in every single vape shop across the country. It's not the case that disposables are being picked up by millions of smokers to give up smoking, because the number of vapors hasn't risen in the UK, at least in the past 2 years. So that argument shot out the water, and even if that argument held true, get rid of disposables. What's left? Pod kits. Get rid of pod kits. What's left? Starter kits. Did you know that the number of 3 million vapors actually reached 3 million before the pod kits arrived? So the argument that people keep saying of, "Oh, Vic, you get rid of disposables, the smokers won't give up," bullshit. You've got pod kits still on the market, sealed, unsealed or otherwise. And if the pod kits were to go down with the disposables, you've still got starter kits. And if the starter kits were to go down, you've still got the Cigalikes, which are still being sold to this day. The 3 to 3.2 to 3.5 million number was built up on older vaping technology. All disposables have done is wreck the current industry because of the amount of intermediate vapors using smock kits and Vaporesso kits have decided to dump the bigger kits and move on to disposables. It is a minute percentage of smokers who use a disposable to give up smoking. That is a hard statistical fact. And while all this is going on, the industry is being wrecked because of this. Yeah. You have got to look out, not just at what's happening in the industry right now, but you also have to look out further, much further than what the current timeline is looking at. I'm not looking at the damage that the vaping industry is suffering because of disposables, because we all know the industry is currently being damaged. What I'm looking at is what kind of state the industry is going to be in once disposables are legislated. What happens after the disposable craze is finished? How many juice manufacturers are going to be left on the market, since most of their sales are probably down 50 to 75%? How many vape shops, independent or chain store or otherwise, are going to be left open because they're not selling hardware, they're not selling juice, all they're selling is disposables at a very, very low margin? You just need to look at the United States and what happened there to see what could be happening here within the space of a year to a year and a half, because that's the timeline we're now currently on. UK via IBVTA, sorry, UKVIA, I keep calling it via, UKVIA, IBVTA and the NNA need to act now. They need to act now before the damage is irreversible. Simple as that. The fact that Elf Bar is going to trade shows to do with consumerism, to do with convenience stores, to do with supermarkets. They're bypassing the trade shows for the actual vaping industry, and they're targeting corner shops. They're targeting high street shops. They're targeting convenience stores wrapped up in petrol stations. They're targeting supermarkets. This is what Elf Bar is doing, because Elf Bar don't give a fuck about the industry. All they're in for is as much money as they possibly can before they collapse the entire market. This is why the NNA and the two trade bodies have to step in now. Slam the door, at least partially, on Elf Bar and Geek Bar and all the other bars' faces, and limit their sales to vape shops and chemists. Or just drop a nuke on the entire industry to do with disposables. Personally, that'd be far fucking quicker than trying to limit the sales. But it would be better in the long run to limit the sales in vape shops and in chemists. In the long run, it would be better. Anyway, I think that basically covers my rant now. I'm glad I got that off my chest. This is going to piss off a lot of people out there, especially the people that like the Elf Bars, but it is a well-known fact that the marketing that's going on for these disposables has reached a point where they can't really market within the UK vaping industry itself, because the UK vaping industry already know it exists. Now they're targeting the actual shops, the actual chain stores, the Premier stores, Sainsbury's, Tesco, Asda, all of them. They're going to the major conferences, the major trade shows where they all show up, and they are literally the only vape device there. I seen the pictures. I think it was one of the owners of the Elf Bar who showed pictures of him of him walking around this trade show for the consumer side of things, and he was literally, or they were literally, the only vape stand there. The only one out of literally hundreds of other booths. And by the looks of the pictures of the Elf Bar stand, they were mobbed all the way through the weekend. I've got to give it to the Elf Bar folks. They are damn good at marketing. It's a pity they're marketing a disposable. That's the problem. But they are damn good at marketing. Anyway, I think that covers the beginning part. Again, there is no first looks because it came in right at the end of Friday afternoon. I was like, I need to get fucking out of here and get back to the house. So the first looks will be back next week. Now we're on to the Floof Army's box away. Yes. So the box away, for the people that don't know, if you are a member of Patreon, basically the Floof Army, you will be automatically, your name will automatically be thrown in to a box away. It's a box that goes away. Anyway, this is something a bit different. Normally what I tend to do is get several manufacturers and bundle them into the same thing, but this is going to be something a bit different. Thunderhead Creations sent a kind of a care package in. They do this with every reviewer that's reviewing their products, but they've sent me in, look at this. How's that for coil packaging? 3-core Aliens NI80s, you've got 2 coils in there. There's also a little tub of, this is actually quite good cotton. Quite good cotton, it's very easy to work with. There is a tub of Max Premium Vape Cotton. Big tub of Thunderhead Creations. And of course, coils and cotton need something to go into. Say hello to Mike Vape's Blaze RTA. This is it in all its glory, stainless steel edition, because the one I've got is this one. Here's Mike Vape's Blaze RTA in black, because I don't use that many stainless steel mods. Most of them are black, so I took the black tank for myself. However, the stainless steel tank is here. Everything's in place. You've got the bubble glass at the top, you've got the tank at the bottom. So it is Mike Vape's Blaze RTA. Max cotton, very good cotton. Very, very easy to work with this stuff. And of course, 2 coils to pop in the tank. And there we go. That's courtesy of the fine folks over at Thunderhead Creations. So, what we're going to do here is we are going to bring up the window capture. There's everyone's name from the YouTube members and of course from Patreon. We're going to hit randomise. And the winner is Richie Matthews. I think you're on Patreon, Richie. Are you? I don't know. Richie, if you're on Patreon, you don't need to do a thing. I'll be contacting you sometime this coming week. If, however, Richie, you're a member on YouTube members, you need to contact me because I've got no way to actually contact you because fucking... for some strange reason, you're not allowed to direct message anyone on YouTube anymore, and I can't see your email. Well, I can see your email address, kind of. Bits of it's blanked out with little asterisks and stuff, so what you've got to do, Rich, is you've got to email me with the email address that you signed up to your YouTube with, and that way I can match up the letters that I can see that's not blanked out on your email address on YouTube with the email that you've sent me. That way I can see if they match up or not. So there we go. Richie Matthews, you've just won all that, courtesy of Thunderhead Creations. And guess what, folks? That's basically it for the What's Up this week. Don't forget, starting next week, there's going to be basically 5 reviews a week, and that'll give me the opportunity to throw in some of those liquid reviews. About 3 or 4, no, I think it's about three liquid reviews that I need to do. So 5 reviews a week, roughly for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Anyway, that's it from me, folks. As always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.